Would you like to improve your relationships? Well, I think all of us are interested in knowing how to enhance our relationships with both God and with others. But before we continue, may I encourage you to subscribe to the channel, push that bell notification button, and leave your comments below. I'd love to interact with you. Well, because God is the essence, the spirit of all proper and perfect personal relationships, we must begin with Him regarding this discussion. You see, it's the triune God, the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, that is the relational, loving being that helps us to discover what relationship's all about. In fact, may I respectfully refer to Him as Mr. Relationship? And as such, He is the best and perfect example of relationship that we have. You see, the beauty of this is that God invites us to participate with Himself relationally. He is the only one who can teach us how to do relationship. But how does He do so? I would like to suggest that He loves us into being. You might ask, well, that's kind of a peculiar way of suggesting. What does it mean to love us into being? Well, I'm glad you asked. Because what it means is that to be fully human requires both presence and function. First, God's indwelling presence must become our life. And then He begins to draw us relationally into a loving relationship with Himself. Then as you and I choose to participate with Him, which is the functioning aspect, beginning to function as God designed, we begin to experience and to express His loving character through our behavior, you got it, relationally. So you can see that relationship is always a work of God's grace and not something that you and I can achieve or do. All loving relationship is caught, not taught. And that's vitally important, because unless we become aware of God's loving presence and His activity in our lives, we will not begin to understand how to live relationally dependent upon Him and begin to live lovingly consistent for others. That consistency thing is really the issue, isn't it? And so God created others so that as our relationship with Him matures, that we might be for others in loving relationships. That's God's whole design. Now notice the progress or the development of relationship begins with God and in fact is energized by Him. So we see that God first loves us, that you and I might in turn love others. The good news is that God is love and He loved us first. You see, you and I must be loved in order to do love. We are not love, nor are we the source of love. Only God is. For God so loved the world that He gave, John 3:16. So love takes the initiative, and love is always relational. Love is always relational. How else is love expressed if it's not expressed relationally? Listen to the voice of love who says, we love because he first loved us. 1 John 4:19. It's not because of something that you and I have done. It's because of who he is and the fact that he has taken it upon himself. Are you ready? To love us into being. May I encourage you to be immersed in his love today, captivated by his love, that you might live loved